Hello and welcome to another PLM informational video. I am Brian Rockwell, PLM Solutions Architect for Rockwell Consults. The following video is an introduction to Process PLM, most notably Infor's Process PLM package, CloudSuite PLM for Process, or more commonly known as Optiva PLM. We will learn what PLM is and its roots, how Process PLM differs from Process PLM Discrete, look at what problems and issues are prevalent in R&D and process manufacturing, discuss the ways PLM can reduce and or eliminate those issues, review the advantages of interfacing PLM to Enterprise Resource Planning or ERP, and wrap up with a discussion of what services Rockwell Consults can provide to facilitate solving those process issues that you face on a day-to-day basis. How important is innovation to you and your company? What bright ideas can you use to revolutionize the industry? How can you keep costs under control yet still produce a quality product in a consistent fashion? These and many more questions face today's businesses to create a concept into a viable product that will corner the market and land you on easy street. Well, that might be a stretch, but you definitely have ideas, and those ideas can be profitable. So how can this be accomplished? Thanks to a product strategy that has been around since the 1960s and 1970s, when computer-aided drafting, or CAD, was in its infancy, PLM, which stands for Product Lifecycle Management, has evolved into a viable business need as much as ERP or other system-critical IT platforms. It accelerates connectivity, collaboration, communication, and data processes to bring information to your fingertips and break down those proverbial silos that seem to spring up so often. However, as time progressed, it was determined that not all products are the same. Discrete manufacturing utilizes a concept that the product has discrete components which are assembled in a logical fashion to produce a finished product. However, a large segment of products does not have these components and instead are either liquid, gas, solid, or a combination of them all, to require some process by which the product is created. This is process manufacturing and does not follow the conventional discrete PLM way of thinking. Furthermore, it was also seen that the fashion industry has its own way of viewing the design and changes that are also created a somewhat more limited but important shift in the discrete PLM sector, creating a fashion PLM flavor. Not as distinct as process may be, it is worthy to note. I would like to highlight that PLM is not a software package or simply technology, but is an actual business strategy that incorporates many, if not all, aspects of the business to properly implement. It changes, sometimes radically, the way you view development and innovation by creating structure and deriving methods and processes to control the product development process. Since this is so integrated into any manufacturer's business, the better the process, the more effective the business. In addition, when dealing with the life cycle of a product, it starts at product inception, or when the first idea is created, and follows that idea throughout the development process from the lab, through scale-up, to full production, and finally to the obsolescence and retirement of that product. For all of this to happen, senior management has to be intimately involved in the process and drive those initiatives to truly reap the benefits. Conversely, those in the plant and in the lab and everyone in between will also need to be committed to executing the changes needed to improve business productivity and performance. Only then will PLM become an integral part of the business and will the realization of the benefits become apparent. Many of the industries that utilize this method of manufacturing are food and beverage, pharmaceutical, chemical, oil and gas, personal care and cosmetics, paints, laminates, adhesives, and other products, or a combination of products that require some formula to create. The major difference between discrete and process manufacturing is most seen by the bill of materials being used in discrete manufacturing to provide the structure of discrete components needed for a particular product, whereas the formula is what is used in process manufacturing to indicate the raw materials or ingredients needed for a processed product. Secondly, the intermediate BOM or subassembly can be seen as a WIP or bulk formula, which is some smaller grouping of components or ingredients going into a larger whole. Thirdly, the bill of manufacturing or the assembly process of the bill of material in a discrete environment translates to the combination of the formula with processing aids and instructions typically understood as the recipe. Finally, the SKU or top-level assembly or final product in the discrete world is seen as a finished good in the process industry. Some of these terms are interchangeable from both the discrete and process environments, but overall, these are the terms most common. PLM in either case does not concentrate as much on the formation or the manufacture of the product, only maintain the needed raw materials so that production can handle the actual manufacturing of the product in an ERP system. There is some crossover, and we will discuss interfacing a little later on. Typically, in a processed product, there are discrete components as well, most notably the packaging of that product. Since this is the case, it requires both types of components to be managed by the PLM software. The formula becomes a subcomponent of the finished good, where the finished good is most often than not the final product shipped out the door. Everything else is seen as a WIP, or work in progress formula or component of that finished good. It then goes to say that the finished good is really what needs to be built by your company and have the PLM software control all the pieces and processes leading to that objective. Now let us discuss some of the issues that arise in the product development and manufacturing process. You are in the business of providing some good that will be both beneficial to some end user as well as profitable for you and your business. Because there are infinite ways to create products, it is wise to provide as much definition around what it is you make and what you do. Once you have done that, you concentrate on the process by which the product is made. Finally, you determine the best and most efficient way to deliver that product to the customer. With that said, supply chain management is well studied and employed by most manufacturers, knowing full well that the manufacturing process can be improved. That is why lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, and just-in-time manufacturing came into being. However, sometimes the process to develop that product is not seen as important, mostly assuming that the product once defined does not change, and that is one of the greatest fallacies of manufacturers today. We know very well that the only constant is change, and products change continuously. This may be due to many factors, but the most common are innovation, business strategy, regulatory, market change, consumer preference, or sourcing. It would be wise to investigate the most influential aspects of your business to determine what changes can or will be made and how they affect your marketing and business strategy. So, let's review what is considered when looking at making a product. Since we are concentrating on processed products, we will use something we all consume in one of the largest process industry sectors, food and beverage. The first major point is product configuration. This is where you actually define the product and say what it is that you will produce. The definition may be elementary, almost childlike in concept, but so critical in its purpose. With configuration, you are able to elaborate on the makeup of the product and the characteristics that will respond to marketing needs and analysis. How that is done is really the conundrum all manufacturers must face. Once you have a good idea of what you want to make, you must go to the lab and start researching the multitude of options available. If we wanted to create a new chocolate chip cookie, for example, we would test different recipes and flavors to come to what we determine is the best chocolate chip cookie in the world. This usually requires endless tests and tweaks to the formula to reach that ideal taste many crave. In all of this, it is critical to track all those changes and iterations so that if you head in a direction that is deviating from the desired outcome, you can retrace your steps and continue another avenue. Assuming you reach the desired taste, it will still require taking that final formula to production so they can scale up that lab batch to a larger and more productive batch size. Once that is complete, we then might see if any changes are needed to be made or if we can build off that chocolate chip recipe and expand to other flavors or market segments. This is usually seen as formula enhancement and product line expansion. This is very typical of the manufacturing industry, and we well know a broad product portfolio allows for those products that may not be big sellers to be offset by the cash cows. Since you are in the money-making business, the method by which you can facilitate this process is only enhancing the speed at which you're able to respond to changes in the market and produce more efficiently and effectively while reducing product development costs. It is strange that the unrealized benefits are difficult to accurately quantify, yet much more apparent in a holistic view. With the concept of product now being created and managed, we need to take into consideration the regulatory compliance. Food and beverage companies are highly regulated by the FDA and to an extent other agencies and standards. To avoid such liabilities as human consumables, we need to verify we comply to all regulatory standards and guidelines that apply to our business and products. This also is a formidable obstacle to overcome when dealing with label claims, ingredient statements, label formatting, and so forth. Moving on, we also need to maintain the quality of the product through quality control and sampling. This provides the data we need to determine if what we send out the door is meeting the product specifications. This also should be handled in an orderly fashion with sufficient samples and data points to accurately and satisfactorily verify product standards. With that, we need some test plan and a methodology we can execute. All of that needs to be recorded, and when non-conformancies are discovered, provide a means by which they will be handled. A common misconception is that QA and QC are synonymous, when in fact, QA deals with the processes to create product, and QC verifies it was created based on the QA process. Many know this process as ISO 9000 or 9001. Next, we need to focus on the actual packaging information and how the product will be presented to the consumer. There are many considerations, including the label content. We need to create the artwork and design of the label, the nutrition facts panel, ingredient statement, comments and restrictions, such as if it's perishable or not, and any additional information that transfers knowledge to the consumer regarding the product. All of this information needs to be presented according to regulations, legal aspects, proprietary information, which usually is not to divulge too much information about trade secrets, and the actual layout of the entire label. This all needs to fit on the product package with consideration to environment, temperature, sun exposure, transport effects, etc. Finally, and one of the most important aspects, how data are shared between systems. From an input standpoint, data from suppliers needs to be inputted into the system, and if there is some raw materials database of supplier information, the transfer is essential to reduce effort and errors. Additionally, if a laboratory information management system or LIMS is involved to sample data, managing those data and comparing it to product specs also needs to be handled. Once all the data required are in PLM, it then becomes critical that data be conveyed to production via MES, LIMS, ERP, or other portal that users can access, view, and process based on business requirements. Now, why would any company be willing to face all of these issues? The simple answer is profitability, but there is a lot in that statement that needs to be reviewed. Let's investigate these benefits as they are realized through adhering to PLM concepts and employing a PLM business strategy. First of all, when you are able to react quickly to the evolving global economy and bring innovative products to market in a shorter time span, you build brand recognition and customer loyalty. For those markets that are highly volatile, this is crucial to maintaining a competitive edge. Even those markets that are established and relatively stagnant, innovation can provide just enough difference to swing consumers your way. Building your customer base is easier when you respond to their needs and anticipate where market trends are leading your industry. Although no one has a crystal ball, effective market research and studies can give just enough insight to plan and strategize. Meeting those needs will have a direct impact on your viability. To cite one of my quotes regarding the market need for PLM, quote, "In today's fast-paced market, being second is being last. You need quick turnarounds, and your product must hit the streets before the competition. This allows you to perfect your product while others are still playing catch-up." PLM is a great tool in leveraging those needs by managing processes and data to give you a better product, shorter cycle times, and a more consistent approach to product design. Close quote. As you gain confidence in the PLM process, you see quality rise and defects diminish. This translates into a more aggressive deadline as you see product consistency increase. According to a study by the Aberdeen Group in 2014, top performers, or quote, best in class, quote unquote, manufacturers saw a 92% successful new product launch rate and a boasted a 15% increase operating margin over the corporate plan by introducing and actively utilizing a PLM strategy. Collaborating with suppliers, trade partners, retailers, and consumers also increases the ability to reduce errors and miscommunication. This also builds trust that you have a legitimate business that cares about more than making a quick dime and invests in both upstream and downstream stakeholders. Optiva is and has been successfully integrated to the major ERP players known to the manufacturing world, most notably SAP and Oracle. Optiva can run on both an Oracle database as well as a SQL Server or Microsoft-based database. Infor has been making great strides in integrating disparate software packages and systems and use middleware to perform this task. Most notably is Mingle, a social platform that integrates software and login data in one screen, with a background system called Ion that allows the transfer of data from one system to another. Speaking in a real-world sense and not in a marketing sense, it does the job. But it is not considered seamless as many a salesman would tout. Regardless, it does bring a wealth of data to bear and can be very powerful and effective in reducing time spent searching for data or tracking down paperwork. M3, Infor's process-related ERP system, is a good choice to manage the business side of things, and when coupled with Optiva, can provide a formidable innovation platform for your product line. Rockwell Consults would like to assist you in assuring you receive the best implementation from your recipe management and connection to ERP. Although we do not sell licenses, we can help you understand what is needed and how to get the ball rolling. We can take you through the implementation process from requirements gathering to full production. Let us work with you to determine the best solution to your design and your manufacturing ills. Make innovation mainstream for you.